Hi everyone, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. I'm Vince Leo, I'm the author of the film review website Quipster.net. I've fast approaching 4,000 reviews. You can read them at Quipster.net, QWIPSTER.net. Today I'm going to be looking at a documentary called I Am Not Your Negro. It's a documentary that was one of the Academy Award nominated features this year and did not win, but it was definitely worthy of being up there. It's a film about the civil rights figure and author James Baldwin. Samuel L. Jackson provides third-person narration, providing his voice. It's a PG-13 rated film because of disturbing violent images, thematic material, language, and brief nudity, and it runs an hour and 33 minutes. The director of the film is Raoul Peck. Now, claims of a post-racial American society would seem to be exaggerated as evidenced in Raoul Peck's Academy Award-nominated documentary on famed author James Baldwin, whose unfinished manuscript for a proposed memoir on the deaths of several civil rights giants, tentatively titled Remember This House. It provides the basis for the commentary about his experiences as an African American living in this country that continuously seemed to not deal with its overbearing racism head-on. Now, much of the commentary within this film depicts Baldwin's eloquent vocalizations during the civil rights movement, where he was not exactly a joiner, but he was a very passionate observer and commentator. He brilliantly weaved his thoughts on the matter to not only appeal to Black American movement, but also in an effort to wake up white America to address the issues of its racist past and present. Now, within the commentary of the manuscript, delivered in Baldwin's voice by Samuel L. Jackson, he describes his difficulties reconciling the losses of so many important voices for African Americans and the civil rights movement, especially his intended subjects in the trifecta of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Medgar Evers. But more pointedly than that, Baldwin is much more critical about the blithe ignorance of America's white population, many of whom seem to tolerate the racist acts of the society, if not completely go about ignoring them altogether. So while Baldwin's a fascinating subject, and the subject matter is certainly very important and very timely, it turns out, in this year of 2017, I do think Peck's documentarian choices are not always making for riveting cinema here. Samuel L. Jackson just does not exhibit the same kind of fire in his delivery or really the quickness when he's reading Baldwin's words in a very subdued monotone. It's a curious choice given that both Baldwin and Jackson are known for their passionate voices. Samuel L. Jackson would famously read the audiobook for the amusing book for children called Go the F to Sleep, but even that reading, which is literally meant to put someone into a comfortable slumber, is more lively than the one he manages to muster here. It sounds like he recorded it in bed while trying not to rouse whomever might be sleeping next to him, but yes, that is a stylistic choice, perhaps to symbolize an older and more world-weary James Baldwin than the one that we see in historical clips from his television appearances on such talk shows like The Dick Cavett Show and others. Now, those clips, along with plenty of rare photographs, are a real highlight, and I'm Not Your Negro is never more riveting than when these clips of Baldwin himself are playing for our perusal. He's a voice of measure, of reason, but also of strong conviction on the myriad problems with America's treatment of its black populace, and that should be paramount in addressing. And yet many white Americans either turned a deaf ear to the struggles or they actively participated in some cases in attacking the oppressed even more. Now, there are a plethora of clips from old Hollywood classics, classic films, and they either show the caricatured representations of African Americans that were offered to white America in their small roles within various narratives, or there are visions of a white America blissfully carrying on, living in luxurious fashion, completely devoid in thought of what's going on in Black America, a Black America that continued to suffer on a daily basis from economic disparity, from submission, from the threat of continued violence from authorities, as well as the hypocrisy within Hollywood, where they had films that championed those who rebel against oppression so long as they were white, and yet viewed those who fight against oppression by those whites as a menace that must be put back into their place, if not eradicated. And it should be noted, the FBI was keenly monitoring James Baldwin's activities during this time, and while blacks are literally being punched, spat upon, even lynched, white Americans continue to consume fluff like Doris Day movies, where they're exposed to none of the trials or the tribulations among people who live not far from the theater that they're probably sipping sodas in. Now, while Baldwin is the primary subject, Raoul Peck's focuses on the author's views and his rhetoric on race, and that leaves anecdotes and personal history as incidental to the piece, so you don't get a full biography of James Baldwin here. The film also astutely shows us footage on the march for racial equality that continues even to this day, and it's especially effective in showing how even the election of a black president, Barack Obama, it doesn't mean that America's accountability with its treatment of blacks and other minorities are forgiven, forgotten, or most importantly, concluded. So just as Baldwin's book would not be finished in his lifetime, the story of America, as well as its long history on the treatment of its black populace, will continue to be written, and though we don't have James Baldwin's erudite voice to challenge us in the present tense, with a film like I Am Not Your Negro, Baldwin still gets to chime in with important and prescient messages on how important the issues of racial equality should be for every American and not just the ones who suffer from it day to day. I'm giving 3.5 stars out of 4 to I Am Not Your Negro. 3.5 stars on my scale means I do think this is a good documentary. It's worth going out of your way to see if it's playing in your town. And the life of Baldwin or the subjects that are contained within are of interest to you. But as Baldwin and Peck are probably suggesting within the course of this movie, it should be of interest to everyone. I Am Not Your Negro, 3.5 stars from me. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you have any comments about what I've just said, you can go to my website, quipster.net, and find my contact information as well as links to my Twitter feed and my Facebook page where you're more than welcome to get in contact with me about this or any other review that you've heard or you want to hear in the future. Also, if you want to help out the show, there are 2 ways you can do it. You can go to patreon.com/quipster and leave a donation, or you can go to iTunes and leave a review and let other people know that you enjoy the show. Also, if you like the podcast, you can also hear more of my podcasting work because I am one of the co-hosts of the extra film segment of the In Session Film podcast. Please go to insessionfilm.com for details and also subscribe to that show. It's a dynamite show and one of the best film shows out there. And we just recorded reviews of Asghar Farhadi's The Salesman, which was an Academy Award winner, as well as a film that went straight to Netflix but did get the Grand Jury Award at the latest Sundance called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. So if you want to hear those, go to In Session Film and check those out. Until next time, thanks everyone, and please enjoy your time anytime you get to go to the movies.